Welcome back. This is the second edition of the close reading of The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann. It's album bag. The pages we'll be going over now. This is the second chapter in the Fischer Edition, pages 37 to 62. It's a nice edition. Lops around, real nice. Easy to write in, easy to handle, not so heavy. So in the second chapter, we get the background, some of the background story of Hans Castorp. We find out that both of his parents die um, when he's around 5 years old, if I remember correctly. And then he is shipped off, or he's given or taken over, how would you say? He's taken care of his, by his grandfather, um, who also proceeds to die. And this death of his grandfather is shielded from Hans. And he is as soon as his grandfather starts to decline, he's no longer allowed to be near his grandfather. So death is shielded from him, remains a mystery or something to not be spoken about, or something that, while it is present, remains hidden. Um, while his grandfather is alive, Hans loves looking at the family baptismal bowl. And he has his grandfather take it out and describe it, and he describes the sort of the writing that's within the bowl, the inlays, the engravings, and whatnot. Um, Within this chapter as well, there's quite a bit of descriptions of other. So this is sort of a ritualized process, and then there's other rituals that seem to be occurring regularly at mealtime. How people eat, the foods that are being eaten, and this also ties in with illness or sickliness. Hans, as a young boy, has discovered that he's anemic, and the doctor recommends that um, every day he drink a glass of porter beer for his anemia. So Hans is kind of living in a sort of, not alcoholic daze, it would be kind, but sort of like, yeah, he's living in sort of a daze. He's not full, he doesn't have a lot of strength, he's not completely engaged in the world, and he is a sort of dreamer, it would seem. Um, So we have a character who is sickly going to a place where sick people belong, and he's sent there before he becomes. So before I get to that, it's he has to choose a career, and the only thing that seems to interest him are ships and drawings of ships. So he decides to be a ship's engineer, but he doesn't give himself over to anything with great gusto. He's not a type A workaholic. He doesn't want to overexert himself. He's very charming in this regard. Um, and before he's supposed to start with a company, if I've read this correctly, he goes to, because of his sort of sickliness, it's recommended that he go to the mountains for a few weeks, for 3 weeks. And since his cousin Joaquin is already in the mountains in Davos, this was the perfect opportunity for him to go there and to visit him. And then it sort of ends at for only 3 weeks, or he was supposed to be there for only 3 weeks. So either kind of dramatically, well, we're only 60 pages into a 1,000-page novel, so our friend Hans is going to be there a lot longer than the 3 weeks. What else did I write down in my notes here? Yeah, I think that is it for the moment. I think after I've read more, I'll go back and sort of look at the sections that we've already gone over and see what kind of themes are coming up again, and maybe sort of reinvestigate in light of what happens later, what happened earlier, and what is set up. But so far, I'm really enjoying my reading, and I hope anyone who also has read this novel is reading it, wants to read it in the future someday, now, inshallah, um, is enjoying it as well. All right, till next time. Ciao.